Welcome to Talking Roadmaps, where we are again on one of our special editions, where we are joined by a speaker who's going to be joining me on the stage at the Product World EU event. Clemens, who are you?
I'm Clemens Lutsch, managing partner at Svolva, Vienna-based consultancy focusing on human-centered strategy and innovations.
Love it. And we've had a great conversation before this already. I'm looking forward to your talk. For the audience out there, what problems are you going to address in your talk?
Well, the major talking points, a little bit provocative, of course. We want to make people reconsider when they're working in an organization on the strategic level, how they should approach a problem space. Because we don't want the people to succumb to technology or functions first. We want to make them understand that there's a specific way to deal with problems, to look beyond the desire or wish or statements from sales or people with great ideas, and to understand what is behind that, to kind of establish a strategic way that adds value for an organization, that saves time, that reduces risks, and to reduce also time to market. And that is why I'm kind of provocatively asking, are you still working agile or already modern?
There are a number of teams I've met recently over the last few years or so that describe themselves as post-agile. So I can absolutely see that organization you're talking about. So what myths or common beliefs are you going to challenge in your talk?
So the nasty thing is, I'm working for more than 30 years now in standardization, also guilty of some of the standards in the human-centered approach and also on quality around this human-centered aspects. The thing is, we tend to reinvent the wheel all the time. Every organization does that. Every organization has the understanding, we are a little bit different, we have this and this and this, but we have a common set, international agreed upon set on some stuff, how to do things. For example, one of the things I have to challenge is, we all know the word user stories, which has kind of have replaced the requirements, the user requirements, but they don't give us the understanding of the big picture, because it's a deliverable done by development teams and not by the people who do the requirement really we don't know the solution yet. So we're kind of losing independence. We're kind of losing the understanding of the problem because we are so much focused on solution and technology, especially now with AI. We kind of even have a faster access to solutions, and we don't know what the real value is. And we have to rethink what is the value, what are the effects of the real value, how sustainable aspects, resilience aspects, are we kind of what can we do in order to reimagine and re-establish a portfolio and strategic project development?
So what do most people think is the solution, and why doesn't it work?
Well, the thing is, now there's some nasty examples also from projects we do, and we see that people have, we don't know what's not working, we do this and this and that. For example, MVP. We know the MVP, and when you ask 5 people, you get 10 different definitions of an MVP. Because viable, we have literature, what is the intention of that term is, and then you have to really think what viable really means. And we most of the time only think in technology terms. But of course it's not working. And if you send it out, we get lots of feedback from people, we have this, we didn't know that we have to do this. We had a calculation example where we had to have with the people 4 or 5 different correction sprints. So very costly, because you deliver the stuff and then of course you don't understand we are missing this and this and the quality is not there. And you can reduce that. You can mitigate really risks when you step back from the MVP understanding, more like a value-based understanding, what is really needed in order to meet the baseline of requirements. And the other thing is, innovation is a tricky thing. Only because you can deliver something doesn't mean it really adds value. So not every finding is an innovation. So that is crucial in order to become more resilient for the future, and also to become more knowledgeable and base your decisions on facts and informed decisions instead of just guessing.
So why are you credible to answer this question? How did you earn or learn this knowledge?
Well, the funny thing is my background is I'm not a designer. I'm not a tech engineer. I did something more serious. Now, my background is in industrial anthropology, which is pretty much about understanding how people work and how people act as human beings in a work environment. My background in software economics in more than 30 years ago. We developed, and I was working with large companies, with Siemens and Microsoft. I was UX manager at Microsoft and also with agencies. And as I mentioned before, I have long track record in international standardization, which is a consensus of different cultures and different approaches that is viable in the different countries and in different cultures, and also applicable to every kind of product, system, and service development. We matured over the time by establishing some core principles that always apply, that can apply to processes as well. We published that also in the understanding that the human-centered approach is part of the business strategy approach, and also many other articles, and just recently also about qualification and skills, soft skills, which is essential, becoming more and more essentials nowadays, because so many technologies out there, but we have to look into how the person, how the human being acts within that context of an organization. That's we co-authored with my partner, Claudia Buchsteiger, and a colleague from Telecom, the book on soft skills on the human-centered approach. And that is why we can draw upon many sources and references to do that kind of guidance and reflection for organizations, big and small, sometimes with startups, sometimes with huge companies, international companies, because the principles always apply.
Okay, and so if someone applies your ideas well, what changes?
First of all, there's a completely different way to communicate. It's far more transparent. You could early on see when you start in the first steps into a project, you already start with that kind of approach, where you see already, for example, stuff that addresses quality of your potential product, like accessibility stuff and sustainable stuff. You already kind of understand how you separate wishes and desires and loud screamed ideas, and you look into the story behind that, the need behind that. You think different, you're faster, because you're focused on the stuff that is really required in terms of needed-based stuff instead of ideas. And therefore, you save lots of time and you mitigate some risks, which is, of course, also part of reducing and reducing costs overall for the organization as well. And you kind of harmonize almost every aspect of organization with the development and maintenance of a product, system, or service. So that's a more holistic approach, kind of chimes in with all the other stuff like risk mitigation and also documentation, all the stuff of life cycle of an organization.
So Clemens, where and when can people catch your session?
Well, I'll be on the stage on the second day at 1:30. So I kind of the program that helps you digest the lunch. But I always try to make it more entertainment. So expect some performance, and I try to make it a little bit more engaging. Not standing in front of you and talking about creepy things. I'm looking forward to see you.
Looking forward to seeing you at Product World EU in Croatia, Opatija, on the 5th and 6th of May. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you.